That's so lovely. Thank you for that. And it was great to use this psalm, so to speak. If you put it next to the original Psalm of David, it's also Psalm 1, and you will see like, oh, what beautiful is the way that Psalm 1 is. And so that inspired me to write this. And see, the thing is that I love to have this moment with, say, this time the psalm together, and use that inspiration to let something flow through me. And I trust that. I just put it down and write it down and do it. So that's great. That's great practice, a great way of experiencing the love of God for me. It's like, oh, God is so lovely. Like the Psalms to me are so precious. I just love the Psalms. So I let someone in. I just love the Psalms, and so it's very exciting to me to see how this goes, how this develops. So today, in the class of Joel that we are going to be part of, say in half an hour, something like that, there was one word that came back pretty strong, and that is distracting material sense. Like that was the word I was looking for, material sense, distracted. And Joel puts that in perspective, because it looks like, wow, that's pretty radical to express it like that. It's like distracting material sense. Are you kidding? So how are we going to do that? And so Joel uses a lot of in his talk, a lot of examples what it isn't, what we're not doing, and we're not, say, activists. We're not doing it that way. No, you will hear that because it's a really lovely part and pretty surprising too. In the first half hour, it's a beautiful, say, resume of all the things you don't have to do. And he uses, in fact, a lot of psychological ideas, in fact, even though that would not bring the solution to the problem. So he uses it to prepare you about, like, aligning you in your thinking, at least to help you to see, like, no, not what you think. No, that's not what's going to help. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. No, that's not the way we do it. It's like the thing that happens at a certain point is you come into stillness and let it change, and realizing that it's starting right here. Like, we don't have to discuss with others how this is going. We don't have to fight over it, what the best solution would be, or how to stop wars, or any of the human means that we are accustomed to so-called solve our problems is not what is going to help. So in fact, what Joel is doing is he's saving you a lot of time. He's a miracle worker. He literally snatches out, like he cuts out time episodes for you that you don't have to do. So the only practice then is, and this is, someone asked just before the class started, like, how do you practice this? If everything comes down to practice, what would that practice be? And that's good. So let's take a moment to take another look at that. So what is the practice that we do to keep our mind aligned, so to speak, to keep ourselves in alignment with truth? So one thing, of course, is, just like we did in the meditation, to become still. When you start your day, you become still. And you become receptive and open, and letting every idea that you already have go, and start to breathe slowly and say, relax into, oh yes, I'm in good hands. Okay, yes, my day has started. So be with me, because I don't know how to do all this. And feeling that support in the morning, that's great. Like, let that come to you. Be you comforted. So that is an essential part. But that's not the only thing. So you repeat that during the day a couple of times. You have your moments in which you say, remember this. Like, oh yeah, okay, I forgot. I forgot that I could ask for help, or I forgot that I could pray or become quiet. I just forgot about that. Now I'm going to remember. So I'll be still for a moment and practice this. Like, okay, yes. I stop for a moment with what I'm doing, just like it said in the poem. I stop with what I'm doing, allowing some undoing going on, helping me to expand my mind and my consciousness, to come into the place where everything is quiet and still and peaceful, where you don't need to do anything for that, in that sense. So, and then during the day you come into all kinds of situations, all kinds of events are happening, you're in the middle of it, you seem to make choices continuously. But then what also is part of this practice is that you start to see, like, oh my God, look at me, I actually want to choose for something that I think would be my temporary solution. So it is like, when it's temporal and it sounds like a solution, it probably is not a solution. You know, it's like, that's what you recognize. You don't want the temporal solution as your solution. And one way or another, you come closer to handing over that decision that you have to make, or being more patient with it. Like, we'll see how this unfolds. It's going to be given how to respond to any of this, if any response is necessary. So it's like there's the psychological part that I wanted to bring in. I'd like to come to the recognition of the limitation of human thinking. And it's not that you have to control yourself the whole day, like keeping an eye on yourself or something. No, you get help. So you can trust that help. And the help will bring you back to some ideas that for that day you say can use as your lesson, as a lesson for you. Like, I'm doing the same thing again. I don't need to do that. Wait a minute. Let's respond to this in a different way. I don't know how to do that, but I need help here. So this is also part of your practice. And you think like, well, that's not too big of a thing, you know, but if you do it on a daily basis and that's repeating itself and you stick with that practice, you will see that something takes over and something is supporting you and helping you and putting you in the right situations, even though they seem so uncomfortable and so unpleasant and so amazingly overwhelming. You trust what comes to you. When you're in this situation, when it's like right in your face, when you don't know how to respond to it and you feel this discomfort, the only requirement then is not to connect it to any person, situation or event, but letting that feeling just pass through, because it is not what you think it is. It is not what it seems to be. Not even that, not even your ideas about, like, okay, now I feel anxiety, or now I feel emptiness, or now I feel loneliness, so intense, or like, now that are just labels you put on it. And you can say like, okay, I feel intensity of energy, but what I'm going to do in my practice is I'm not going to link it as I was used to, as human thinking was very associative, like really thinking about, oh, that must come from there, always looking for the source of where it came from, why you feel the way that you feel, who's to blame or who is to point at, and all that is not the practice. So then forgiveness really becomes, it is a practice of forgiveness. You dislodge it from event, person and situation. Has nothing to do with it. It is just your experience of moving through something allowing the healing to occur, and which actually means like feeling it completely, feeling it to the bottom of it, and seeing that it isn't what it appeared to be, but that the comfort and the light that you're looking for is right beneath all of that. When that occurs, when you feel like a glimpse of that support, when you suddenly feel light coming into your mind again, like, oh, and release some of your tension or your grief or your, whatever you seem to feel. I don't even want to label it here. Whatever intensity you feel, and you release a little bit of that, you see there's space for something else to come to you. You see that it wasn't what it was at all. And this is part of your practice. So Joel in this video uses similar examples. He says it, of course, in his way, because he expresses it through, like, animated in the voice of Joel. It's like the one is speaking, but it always is being expressed in different ways, of course. So that's so great. You will share this too in a different way. So animating you are the, say, when you share like this, you are the animation. It's like an animated voice of the Christ mind, specifically in your language, in the way that you express yourself, in the way that comes through you. And so that's great. So it's really great also to hear Joel share these words. And so he's really, and this is a beautiful talk we're going to listen to. So I'll start with that in a moment and see. I still have some time, but I think it's all right. We're going to listen to Joel in about 5 minutes. So we have a little break now and come back to the tape. I'm going to set ourselves up here for the tape.